Most of the times when I go to a game stores, I kind of walk up and down the old RPG aisles, pick up a dusty game and go, hey, that kind of looks neat, and put it back on the shelf and leave. But on occasion, a few of them walk out of the store with me. While I like reading through them, I really do, but running them for my group is another thing entirely. While I might have a week or two to learn a new system, my players don't. So I promised myself that one day I would go through and play some of the old, more obscure RPGs that I had collected, and then we did it, and man, there's a reason people don't run RPGs that way. Wow, I hope you guys really like that character you spent a week making, because you gotta do it again next week. Anyway, these are some of the stories from the RPGs we played over that time. A few of these only lasted a week, some several months. So we're going to be taking a journey down the RPG rabbit hole. The first one I want to talk about is the Phoenix Dawn Command. Remember? Anyone? Phoenix Dawn Command? When it came out, everyone was talking about it. Sleek, sexy artwork, interesting, innovative design, character sheets. Get that shit out of here. Now you have decks. Ooh. Your character is a deck of stats, and whatever they were good at would come off the top more often. And when they leveled up, they'd swap out cards. Sounds really cool. It does sound really cool. About that, there were a few downsides to it. First, you were limited by the cards. So if someone had the last 5 intelligence in their deck, and you didn't have it, you couldn't play it. So there was just a finite number of cards and a finite number of builds that you could do. Another interesting feature of the game was when the characters would die, they'd level up. In-game, there was lore that the PCs would respawn, which led to a lot of funny jokes, which I think you guys know where this is going. Okay, we have to defeat the evil wizard, but we're not high enough level. Don't worry. Chuck, chuck. Pow, pow. Ba-da-loop, bing. I mean, this system came out to big fanfare. I'm talking topping charts and review board top game of whatever year it came out. It just died, and I haven't heard anyone else talking about it. Side note, funny thing while I was writing this script, I Googled the game just to find out if anyone's still playing it. And the top article is anyone still playing this game from 2019? So I'm partially justified. So that was Phoenix Dawn Command. Moving on to the next game is Open Legend, another RPG which came out a few years ago. Big fanfare. Major selling point were a few things. First, it did not have classes, but a point-buy system for traits, which I know the second I bring up, there's a flood of other games that also do that. It seems like every few years there's a new RPG whose major selling point is not having classes, but whatever. Anyway, point is, we're moving on. Then there was ability dice, which I hated. But one of the other innovative features was flexible spellcasting. Okay, so the idea is that when you use magic or some other power, like a gadget or alchemy, they actually had designed it more similar to making an ability check in 5e. So the player would explain what they were trying to do, and the DM would adjudicate it. For example, if the target was really far away, that increased the difficulty. If they were close by, it made it easier. If you picked multiple targets, that was hard. If you picked one target, that was easy. So, about that game. The players really liked their characters all the way up until their first combat. The flexible spell casting just turned out to be a bit too much for them. It really slowed down all the action. They also weren't a fan of the lack of resource system. Just to explain, the game didn't have anything like power points or spell slots. Instead, when they would fail a check trying to use their powers, you're supposed to have some other consequence for the roll. They didn't like it, but, honestly, as I'm writing this, I kind of want to take another crack at it, because it does sound kind of interesting. Also, another really neat fact is that the game is up online for free. I love that. If you want to check it out, I will put a link in the description to the rules. But man, that game was like one of the biggest disappointments. I went into it super hyped, thinking it was going to be a 9 out of 10. And after playing it for a bit, it dropped to like a 3. Although it's floating around a 5 probably. On to 7th Sea. The game is set in a pseudo-European 1800s-ish setting with not Italy, not Spain, not Britain, during the not Victorian era with powdered wigs, high seas, and flintlock guns. Of the group I played with, I remember that most people were kind of apathetic about it, but we had one player who was like really super stoked to play it. The way that dice worked in 7th Sea, instead of rolling pass-fail, or even setback and disadvantage, something that you see in like Star Wars, it used an action-based system. The GM would describe the scene, and the players would make a roll and declare what they wanted to do. Dice that added up to a set of 10 was considered an action. What that meant was that when you rolled really well, you were doing more stuff in that scene. And if you botched a roll, you may only get to do one thing. There were also consequences, which you could spend your actions to cancel out. For example, say there's a court dining scene. Someone might roll persuasion and get 3 success. And say for 1, they're chatting to get info, 2 is spreading rumors about a competitor, and 3 is buttering up the local noble. While the rogue, if he got a 1 in stealth, might sneak in, and that's about it. The system was fine in scenes, very punchy, very quick. It was nimble. It's just when you got down to combat was where it started to get clunky. The setting was great, and the system was good. It was solid. I liked it. There were some silly moments with this. One example I can think of is the players had magic powers that they could activate, and these magic powers were based on their hero points. And hero points came to them from the GM, similar to like inspiration from good role-playing or being in character. It's an interesting idea, and I ultimately didn't like it, because it led to a lot of situations like this. Okay, we need to break into this prison. Hey, Kegskull, you're Russian, right? With spirit powers from Baba Yaga? Can you turn into a mouse? That's a thing you can do, right? I don't know, GM. Can I turn into a mouse? Do I have to do some more Shakespeare to get my powers back? Moving on to Fantasy Age. It's a more generic setting, not specific Dragon Age. A core mechanic of the system was stunt points. Basically, you roll 3 dice, one of them is a stunt die. You then expend the stunt points to perform various maneuvers. For example, you'd roll an attack, then you get stunt points, and then you could spend the stunt points to do a sudden move, a counterattack, sweeping blow, or taunt. It made fighting a little bit more involved as the players would decide what they wanted to do, roll, and then see, ooh, I have some stunt points, and then pull up a chart and spend them like it was a menu at a restaurant of death. One of the things which was constantly an issue in it was the game kind of had a numbers problem. We'd expected the fights to go on for 10 rounds or so per encounter, or have multiple small encounters throughout the day. A part of this problem was that melee attacks were not keeping pace with the huge health jumps that players and monsters would receive every level. Unfortunately, because it was a core mechanical issue, there wasn't really an easy solution to this, since lowering hit points broke the spellcasting, increasing damage broke the magic, lowering magic damage broke the mana curve, and increasing attacks broke the stunt dice. I mean, there's probably a homebrewed version of this I'd have more fun playing, but I would want a complete overhaul to the system to make it work. Loved most everything else in the system. The flexible character creation and how they did feats was great. The spellcasting was awesome, where you got to pick 2 domains. So a bard might be healing and inspiration, while a cleric might be healing and life. Very cool. When you picked a domain, you got 2 cantrips, and when you leveled up, you would unlock high-level magic, and even unlocking domains' ultimate magic, or branch out into some other domain. Super neat. Then we have Icons, the superhero RPG. I'd actually run this a few times. I absolutely loved it, but I have a hard time recommending it because the GM really needs to adjudicate everything type of system. The character sheet is super simple. You either roll or you just spend point buy into the stats. Everything is on a 1 to 10 scale. 1 is bad, 3 is normal, 7 is superhuman, and 10 is godlike. You put ranks into the skills and powers you want. There's no feats. There's no equipment. Nothing else. That's it. What I liked was that they gave players some good references for their powers. 3 strength, you can lift a person. 6 strength, you can lift a car. 8 is a building. Okay, something I gotta complain about is that a lot of superheroes try to tie it to real numbers, saying things like, you can travel 15 meters a minute. Is that fast? How fast? It's a little bit easier with the system because they would say, you are as fast as a plane or can lift a motorcycle. Now, the complications came up the second you start to use your powers, and a few of them were weird. Like, for example, there's a power that just says time control, and the description is, you can control time. What does that mean? I don't know. So if someone has 5 ranks for time control and they roll and they get a 7 time control, you did it. Success. You did the time control. Yay. Good for you. There was a funny bit while we were playing. We had a player, Asher. He had put 1 rank into invisibility, which meant that he was bad at being invisible. It was kind of more like camouflage, but his stealth was through the roof. A 7. Very good. His character was also cowardly, so he constantly hid from everyone. What this meant was that while he was in town, he was just constantly being invisible and hiding. But he's in the middle of a crowded town, so of course they're gonna catch like a glimpse of him on occasion. And that ended up making him more suspicious, because why is there this creature sneaking around, trying to remain hidden? He must be up to no good. This eventually led to the rumors floating around about him. When he would go back to places he had visited, he heard rumors about the Phantom Toad. A big, bug-eyed creature people would see in the window or down a deserted alley, and then look back, and he was gone. As he traveled, the story followed him, and the legend grew. The PC took umbrage with the rumors of the Phantom Toad because Asher was actually a frog. The last one I want to talk about is A Song of Ice and Fire. The house generation is actually quite cool. It lets you kind of weave a history into Westeros. It was a lot of fun, spending a lengthy session 0, rolling for different events and building our own kingdom. What we knew was that our family was very old. We'd gotten most of our wealth from a silver mine that was slowly drying up, and the family was desperately panicking and trying to find another source of income before it was too late. A thin stream ran through our land. Not enough for trade, but enough to feed the forest, a herd of deer, a pond, and the farmers who used it. Our family's motto was, "We carry on," with a diamond shard over the land, signifying wealth and prosperity, which was now an ironic logo considering how destitute we were. This was at a period in time when the Lannisters were calling in family members to repay debt, so we had to send one of our cousins as collateral, and they were holding them basically hostage until we could repay our loan. There was one character who I wanted to make that never actually saw the light of day. Very disappointed. I wanted to make a horse master. The idea for this guy is that the rest of the family is talking about politics and stuff, and my character comes in and informs them, "Hello, I am what you would call the horse master. Really, I'm just a horse enthusiast. I am here on behalf of the people to demand that you fix an insidious problem which is plaguing our great hamlet. I am, of course, talking to you about horse rights. Yes, the rights of horses are a common problem among the people. They demand 5 meals a day, a warm bed, blankets, and no more wageless labor. I have here a petition signed by them." Slipping them the document was just my signatures over and over. "I'm not sure why we'd invite your character into our conversations. Like, I am the Lord, he's the Maester, she's my head knight. Why would I invite you? Say there's a battle. What could you offer?" "Well, there's going to be horses in this battle, right? Someone needs to speak up for them." "Do you have a horse fetish?" my proclivities are not up for discussion. I tell you, the people will not be silenced. They demand the rights of horses and the freedom that they... Pow! I had to make another character after that. Eventually, the character I did end up making that we wove into the story was that I was playing as the uncle. Yes, nothing could go wrong. We have a young lord and the uncle who just wants to help his nephew. That's great. Nothing could go wrong there. And they even rolled randomly for my flaw, and I believe it was power. Yes, so my character had a weakness where he coveted power and had a scar over his eye for no reason. "Hey there, littlest nephew. I'm gonna help you out. It's okay that I'm not king. That's fine. But you're king. That's okay." Anyway, those are the RPGs that I played. They were fun and interesting, and I liked most of them. I think when we were talking about new RPGs, I like seeing something that's innovative or different, because you can never know when you're going to see a new rule or a new mechanic that you want to carry to the next one. I tend to talk about some of the weird rules quirks, and I think that it just makes that those are just what's more interesting to talk about. And when something works, you just kind of go, that works, and move on. So I think that it might make me seem like I didn't like these systems as much as I did. I kind of also would like to rank them a little bit to dislike, but I found that was hard to do because it's such an apples to oranges kind of systems. But if I were to rank them by likelihood of replaying them, it'd be definitely like Icons and 7th Sea are up there. Phoenix Dawn Command is like very far at the bottom. Fantasy Age and Open Legend are kind of in the middle. I know I said I wanted to revisit Open Legend, but I think that my players would actually hate it. But it depends on the group, right? Like, I know I might think some of this stuff is cool, but at the end of the day, I'm not the one playing their characters. They are, so they better like them. Anyway, goodbye. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys found something interesting, and I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye!